The Lovecraft short story, where the main character gets down in a cave and finds buried lizards, and then gets killed in the end. I think. Do you know which
There's
one that
quite a
is?
lot of them. I think it might be the pyramids, maybe, because there's a lot of ones where people kind of delve into these sorts of caves, or there's like the tomb. That's one of them.
It's an
Oof.
abandoned city. I think the Arabs showed him in the is what it's described as. I don't know.
No, I'd have to go through the book.
Fair enough.
Not
Fair
100%
enough.
sure. There's so many of where it actually happens, though. It's like the main sort of theme of something like that
Yeah.
happening.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we have any book that you think is too overrated and is not what it was. I'm sorry, this just came to me, but I've heard quite a lot of people say, "Oh, I picked up this book because I heard somebody talk about it. I've seen a lot of reviews on it. People are hyping it too much, and it's not what they hype." Now, this sounds a little bit quite difficult to answer, but I'd love to know if you have any books that you've heard people talk much about it, but it wasn't what you think it is. Noah, seems you.
Oh,
I can see you changing.
I'm like twitching because there's like two things that I can only say: Twilight, vampires shouldn't sparkle, and what is it? 50 Shades of Grey. My mum handed me the book. I hated it. But it was like this huge phenomena about it where everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" And I was like, a couple of I was like, "No, no, put that on the shelf, hand it to someone
Wow.
else."
I got given a copy of 50 Shades of Grey by my colleagues at work because they knew that I like books and they thought that I'd really enjoy it. And I think I got it they gave it to me for my birthday or something. And I think I read the first couple of chapters. I thought, and this is kind of before anyone was really talking about the problematic nature of it.
Yeah,
I remember reading it going, this just reads this is bad in the same way that Twilight is.
it really
and,
was.
and I hadn't at that point. No one had said to me, Fifty Shades of Grey started out as a fan fiction of Twilight. So I suppose she does it very. She must have very accurately got the voice because I just went, "This is like Twilight without vampires,"
It is.
and
It's so
it's
bland.
horrible. And why is that girl doing such stupid things?
It's literally the worst representation of a woman you could possibly get in a book, I feel.
Yeah, I think that there is so many other books that if what you're looking for is erotica, and I think there is so much better erotica, there is so much better relationship fiction, there is so much better romance fiction, and yet 50 Shades of Grey somehow just sort of
Blew up.
took the world by storm. Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, who's the YouTuber who does the there's a YouTuber that does comparing books to the books to film, and he's done a whole series about 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight and how awful they are. And I can't think of his name right now, but he's got a lot to say about how just as images of women and relationships between men and women, it just are not good, and it's not well written, and yet there's so much hype.
Yeah, I think that's a very common criticism with these with Twilight and 50 Shades. You know, these toxic relationships that are presented as romantic. Yeah.
So you're going to turn around and be like, okay, I want a toxic person in my relationship. I want them to do these sorts of things to me, and I'm going to go out and find it. It's like, no, don't.
I think it sort of plays into this belief that what everyone really wants to read about and to get pleasure in is these really toxic relationships, because that's so much more exciting than normal loving relationships.
It's not. It's really not.
It's more dramatic, though. I guess that's a lot of the attraction.
Fair dues with that, yeah.
Yeah. But there are much better vampires than in the Twilight series. I mean, I don't know if either of you have read much sort of vampire-based horror, but I went through a long phase of reading lots of the Poppy Z. Brights, and her stuff is every bit as challenging in a lot of terms than Twilight or 50 Shades, but they have good plots and good really interesting problematic characters. And it never pretends that the problematic characters are secretly good.
Wow. So Oscar, do you have any book that you think it's so hyped and it isn't what it was?
I mean, I guess the Dresden Files. I only read the first book, and it's a 15, 16, 17 book series. So I don't really have an accurate representation of the entire series. But from what I heard, it's a very good series. But the book that I read, the first book, was basically just, it was very one-off kind of feel, and kind of a detective story, cops. It was pretty generic, at least the first book for me. So
because the reviews for the book series has been like crazy for them, haven't they?
Yeah, but I also think the reviews are, from what I've heard, they get significantly better as it goes along. So, but at least the first book disappointed me.
Oh. Yeah, I also want to ask, what genre interests you the most? And how do you read? I mean, what part of the day is best for you to read? We all have different answers to this, and everybody have different time they wish to read, they want to read. I just want to know, what genre do you love reading the most? What part of the day, works best for you in terms of reading, and what version of books do you love most? As for me, I love paperback. I love reading things I can see like this, like something like this, and I hold in my hand and read. Though I don't like ebook, because it's either I read ebook on my laptop or phone. And if I'm doing it on phone, it's very distracting, because I'll be reading it and I just thought, okay, let me reply to this message, or this message dropping, or oh, somebody left a comment on my post. Or I saw a comment coming from YouTube. So it's very distracting to read PDF for me, ebook version on the phone. But I love to read, physical copies. I just switch off my stuff and stay in a silent place and read. And I actually read in the morning. And I don't like reading in the night. I love reading in the morning. I can start as early as 5 and try and finish it up. I don't like reading in the afternoon. It will be too hot. This is Africa. There's a lot of sun here. I don't like it. And in the night, I also don't like reading at night. So I love my time reading in the morning. And I love physical copies. And I actually read books across the genres of literature. So we'd love to hear from you too. Let's start from Noah.
Yeah. Obviously, I do enjoy my horrors, but I am kind of delving more into the dark fantasy in that sort of genre. I'm enjoying some of the books from there. Love to have the actual book in my hand. I want to be able to turn the pages, put a nice bookmark in the middle and not break the spine. I love that sort of thing. But I do have some things that I read on my Kindle because I have the paperweight ones, and I love the feel of that as well. But mostly I like to have the actual physical book in my hands.
Oh, Naomi.
I love having physical book, but books are heavy. I mean, I remember as a child, you have your school bag and you've got 3 or 4 paperbacks that you have flicked through. I use my Kindle a lot. I'm now on my 3rd Kindle. I had a Kindle when they first came out, and everyone was saying, no, ebooks will never overtake paper. Reading on the Kindle is that I can make the text larger. I can take my glasses off and read. Now, um, you know, I back pretty much on my nose without my glasses. But with my Kindle, I make the text larger. I can lie or sit in any position I want, and I can read, and I can change the font to something that's easier to read, and that works really well. I love audiobooks, particularly those read by the author. I just listened to Jeanette Winterson's second all sorts of semi-autobiographical work, and her reading it gave it such immediacy. It's a different way of consuming stories, but I say that sitting in a room surrounded by bookshelves, and I have got books everywhere, and I love books. I'm trying to restrict myself to buying books that won't work as well in electronic form. So books with illustrations, books that are so much more than just the text. But I'm still spending far too much money on books. But yeah, I think there is something about that paper, and there's both the new paper smell and the old paper smell. It's just like, oh, fabulous. Yeah, you get an old book and you just want to. It's a more multi-sensory experience, definitely.
Smell of a new book is good, though, I have to admit.
Mm-hmm. Oh. The smell of a bookshop is lovely as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about Oscar?
I guess I guess it's not a surprise. I mostly like reading fantasy, but also I'm very interested to get into sci-fi because to me it's kind of two sides of the same coin. They both have world building. It's just really what type of sort of magic that exists in the world, because technology in a way functions the same way in a story that magic does in fantasy. And I like to get into Dune and stuff like that. And with regards to ways to read, I usually prefer just reading with a physical copy of a book. I can't really do audiobooks because I usually have to turn backwards all the time when I listen to audiobooks, and then sometimes I forget that I'm even listening to audiobooks, and then there's 5 minutes has gone by, and then yeah, audiobooks don't really work for me. But yeah, and then with regards to times that I read, I'm most effective when I read in the middle of the day, but often it ends up being at the night or during evening, because I do all sorts of other stuff during the day, and then I also have to read a bit, and then I end up doing it at night, even though it isn't as effective and successful reading as it would be if I just read in the middle of the day.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's very nice. I also want to ask, who is your favorite booktuber? And who are you shouting out to in this conversation? Is that from you, Oscar?
With regards to small booktubers, I don't really know a lot. I'm very new to booktube, and most of the booktubers that I've watched are very big booktubers. So I don't know who I'd shout out to. But I guess my favorite booktuber is Daniel Green. He's a fantasy kind of booktuber. And I guess he is the most entertaining of the ones that I've watched, and yeah, but I don't really have any to shout out to, unfortunately.
Yeah. Naomi, how about you?
Again, I suppose I know more of the kind of big booktubers. I think my favourite booktuber probably wouldn't say she was a booktuber, and that's Sabby Writes Books.
Oh,
And she's been doing a series of reviews of autobiographies and self-help books, and she's just got the most amazing energy and this sort of no-nonsense attitude. And I love I think she's just, again, she's someone I relate to, I guess. I also love BookTube with Amy. I think she's someone I could enjoy a night out at the pub with. And some of the others I watch, Mason in the Dark, Mooney Reads Like by Starlight, and Books Like Woe. And Books Like Woe posted up a really interesting video on ableism a few weeks ago, and really got me thinking. So I really enjoy her channel.
that's fantastic. How about Naoh?
The person I'd probably have to call out is a booktuber named Max Reads. It's really good. It's very honest about their opinions on the books. We actually talk quite a lot now these days, and they've just reached 1,000 subscribers. So they're doing amazing, and they really do know how to do a good review, and I really do enjoy their videos.
Yeah, I do watch him too. I know him. I watch his channels too.
So he's local. That's good.
Well, that's fantastic. It's really a pleasure to have everyone on the show. And I'm urging the viewers to please check everyone's channel, subscribe to them. Please be sure to engage in their videos, leave a comment, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love their videos. They're quite amazing booktubers over there. And you've just heard us put together. I left a link in the description part of this video to everyone's channel. Please just support them and stay tuned and stay with their videos. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming on the show. It's a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's been an absolute pleasure to sit and talk books. It's great.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.